Well, thank you very much, Charles, for having me on this show. My name is Femi Banigbe. I'm Nigerian. I'm Nigerian that is currently engaged in the information and communication technology sector. That has been the sector I have been exposed to all my life, from the time when I was still an undergrad to the time I finished school. I got my first job in the IT industry back in 96 May, and then I was an IT student. I was asked who was on strike, the Association of University Lecturers. They were on strike at the time, and there was really nothing to do. I grew up in the city of Ilorin back in Nigeria, and there was nothing to do, and I was like, what will I do with my time? So I decided to move to Lagos to get a job, to apply for a job, an IT job, and it took a while. It took 5 weeks to actually get that job.
Oh wow! Did you know anybody in Lagos at the time?
I knew only one person, and that person actually was like, wow, this is the wrong time. You couldn't.
They were discouraging you.
Yeah, they were discouraging me from going ahead with it. But I knew that I needed to get a break into that IT sector. I've been fascinated about it all the time since I was young.
Right.
Like, this is my opportunity. So I got this job in this company where they were paying me an equivalent of 2,000 naira at the time.
Wow.
And from there, of course, I went back to school, graduated from school back in 98. And I joined the technology sector since 99.
Okay.
Got a job in Ericsson.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria, yes.
Okay.
Got a job in Ericsson, and they sent me to Kaduna.
Wow.
To the International Switching Center for the Nitel Gateway at the time. So we were supporting Kaduna and the local exchange in Jos. That was
Ericsson had like a vested interest in Nigeria at the time.
Yeah, at the time they didn't have that much share of the market. Right. Siemens had more share of the market because, of course, everybody knows about the Siemens story and Nitel officials and stuff like that. Well, that's another story. Then I think the big break came for me when the government licensed the GSM license, liberalized the mobile sector when Ambassador came in, and then companies like MTN, Econet Wireless, and Globacom, everybody came on board, and to get a new license. GSM was so new to everyone, and I was one of those first set of engineers I got exposed to actually help Ericsson roll out and deploy GSM networks in Nigeria at the time. So they basically, I grew up there, learned there, did a lot of stuff in there, grew up in the rank of an engineer. So I got my first middle management job in 2003, and from there I think that it has been a dramatic shift in my career. I left Ericsson in 2005, and then I joined the Econet Wireless company that became V-Mobile, that became V-Networks, that became Airtel, became Zain. But I joined the company when they were V-Mobile, and it was at a time when the Vodacom guys who were managing the company pulled out, when Vodacom pulled out of the deal, and then the Nigerian shareholders decided to rebrand the company V-Mobile. So they needed to rebuild their operation and maintenance the section, and then they brought me in from Ericsson. I think that was the biggest break of my life, because it was my opportunity to get into senior management at a very, very young age. I think I was barely 30 at the time, and then I got this job to become the head of operation and maintenance support, and to set up the entire structure for operation and maintenance. I recruited over 150 people in 4 months. I wrote all the job description of every single role, the functional specification of the department, the performance appraisal process, the entire process flow, templates for reporting. So I put all that together, and I was doing like a 14-hour to 16-hour day. So I went over and above my scope of duty to actually, I would say, stretched myself to want to learn about this, to learn about that, to learn about different aspects of the job. So by the time I was ready to leave Ericsson, after about almost 6 years in Ericsson, I knew so much for the years of experience I had, because I barely worked for like 6 years, and then combine that with my national service years, so 7 years of working experience, really, that's what I got. And so to land the job as the head of operation and maintenance support was really a big break. And then, as luck will have it, and as God will have it, Celtel bought over V-Mobile 1 year after. And then my boss then left, and then he joined MTN, and I was acting operations director And so the Celtel guys, they didn't know anyone. It was like, okay, just a bunch of faces, this guy is acting. And then they just left me there acting.
But they didn't actually offer you the position?
They didn't offer me.
Okay.
So, but I knew that, wow, this is the next big break for me. This is like an opportunity of a lifetime.
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm going to give it a shot. And then 6 months after, we went through the interview process, and I was, boom, appointed operations director.
Oh, wow.
Then that was really, it was like a dream come true, because he became a big news in the industry, because I think, I was really young.
Right.
And then for the industry that is that big, for them to appoint you, is like they're taking a chance, really. I think my bosses took it better of me, because even though I was young, but at the same time I knew so much.
You say you were young. How old were you at the time?
I was 31.
At 31, so you were now like the operations director.
I was the operations director then, and
Right.
then of course I was really big. I learned from that, and then I moved on. Then I got my big break, the next big break. And that was when I became the chief technical officer for Millicom in Tanzania.
Okay, so you moved from Nigeria
to Tanzania. I was headhunted by an headhunter. Yeah, so when they came calling, I was like, wow, perfect opportunity. I've been 2.5 years as an operations director. The next big break came, and I jumped at it. Then 5 months down the line, I landed in Tanzania. My first full-time international management experience in a new country, senior executive role, and that was another opportunity of a lifetime, which I think helped me a lot, because then I had started my MBA program at the time. So I took courses in managing across culture, international management.
Okay, so while as a
operations director,
chief operations director, you enrolled in an MBA
Oh
course?
yes, I had to.
Oh wow.
I had to, because I knew that if I was really going to be successful in this job, I needed to have more depth in terms of more grasp on how businesses are run.
Right.
And I wanted to be able to sit in commercial meetings and be able to at least contribute effectively, not only from the essay on the things I read and the things I knew. I wanted to be able to understand the sound management practices that are actually driving businesses. So around the same period, I got the opportunity to go to London Business School, Advanced Management Program as well. So that was really advanced management program at focus on the telecom sector. It was sponsored by Celtel before they were bought over by Zain. So
that was already put in place.
So that was already put in place. So I had gone through that as well. So when I got into Tanzania, it was really an opportunity to adapt to different cultures. I was in Tanzania for 3 years as a chief technical officer, and then we grew the company. It was like almost 400% growth in terms of subscriber numbers.
Wow.
We grew the company in terms of the number of sites. We came from a distant number 3 to become a strong number 2 in the market. Around the same period, I had the chance to lead the Millicom technical team to get the third mobile license in Rwanda. And so, of course, while being the CTO in Tanzania, I was working in Rwanda, dashing to be able to get a license for Millicom. So we got a license for Millicom in Rwanda as well. In Tanzania, I led the first public-private partnership with government to be able to deploy fiber optic infrastructure in the city of Dar es Salaam. That was like a way of we getting our way and they getting their way, and it was a big thing. And it was quite successful. So I left Tanzania in 2011, got into Ghana to help Millicom stabilize, because we were losing so many people to Vodafone and to Airtel, who were started in Ghana at the time. And then, of course, the company lost almost 72 people in about 6 months to different competition, so it was really struggling. So they brought me over to come help stabilize in terms of that market on the technical side. And then the next opportunity came. The CEO at the time, after I had spent 1 year there, the CEO at the time had to be moved to another market, and then the new CEO who was supposed to take over was not ready to come to Ghana. And then the business was like, okay, what are we gonna do? So then they said, okay, who is the most senior guy here? And I happened to be the chief technical officer, and they said, okay, let this guy be the acting CEO.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay.
So now you're now the CEO, the acting CEO of the Ghana market.
Acting CEO. So it was supposed to be like a 1 month, 2 month thing. Mm-hmm. But they were like, oh, wow, after 1 month, because of my exposure to business and especially my leadership capability, I haven't been a student and a teacher of leadership principles for years. And so it was my opportunity to actually demonstrate that capability on the company-wide level. Right. So after demonstrating that, they were like, wow, let's leave this guy there. So, and then over 30 months, we doubled subscriber base really on data.
Wow.
We became a strong number 3 in the data market. And after acting 6 months as a CEO, then the business then created the chief operations officer role for me, because it was like, okay, let's after the successful let him continue.
So the incoming CEO
came in, and then I stepped down to become the chief operations officer, which never existed before. So then I created that, and then the chief operations officer's role was to be responsible for everything back office, from technical IT, service delivery, business process management, procurement, billing, and all that stuff that had the engine of the business. And then
running it,
run it while the CEO focuses on the commercial part of it. And so that was the old structure at the time, and that was the job I did up until last year, before leaving the Minicom.
So now you're onto your own personal venture.
Yes, I am. I am onto my own personal ventures.
Tell us about this.